Hi everyone, it's me, Maie, and I know it's been a really long time since I did my last review, so I'm really happy to be doing this one. This time I'm also doing a book review, and this book is a special one. It's called Mandela's Way, Lessons on Life by Richard Stengel. This book has at least 15 chapters and 243 pages. It's a very interesting book, and it actually belongs to my dad, but I was interested in it, so he let me read it. I'm happy that I did read it because it's an amazing book. It's a biography about the life of Nelson Mandela. I'm sure that some of you have probably heard about Nelson Mandela, the amazing freedom fighter. And this book is about his life and what he does and how he lives now. The author of this book is Richard Stengel, and he's actually a close friend of Mandela. That's how come he got to know so much about him in this book. And I'm happy that I got to know so much about him as well. I recommend this book for the ages of 12 and up, and I give it a 10 out of 10. It's a very interesting, fascinating book about the life of Nelson Mandela. Chapter 1 is Courage is not the absence of fear. This chapter describes the definition of courage. A lot of people, in fact, I also used to believe that that the meaning of courage is being brave in the face of something terrifying or someone terrifying. But after I finished reading this book and the first chapter, I realized that I was really wrong. Because being brave, being courageous, it doesn't mean just standing up to a monster or being in the face of a terrifying event. Sometimes being courageous can mean standing up to a bully at school, or standing up for your rights, or doing what you believe in is right. Chapter 2 is be measured. That means that you shouldn't have outbursts and that you shouldn't be angry. Before you say or do something, think about it. Be smart. Think. If someone angers you and if someone annoys you, don't start yelling at them randomly. Think about what you're going to say. Think about what you're going to do, your actions. Then you'll become smarter. Chapter 3 is lead from the front. This chapter taught me the importance of having leadership skills and being a good leader. Some people think that when you are being a leader, you have to be bossy. Those people are wrong. You don't have to boss people around and command them to be a good leader. Sometimes you just have to set the course for the ship, not steer it. Chapter 4 is kind of the opposite of Chapter 3, lead from the back. This chapter means that while you are a leader, you shouldn't always tell everyone what to do. Sometimes you should just stay at the back and quietly think about what other people are saying. Like, for example, at school. Think of this situation where you're supposed to do a group project with some classmates in your class. Like maybe 4 or 5 members, and you're the group leader. And a group leader, they have to have leadership skills. They have to tell their group members what to do without being bossy. They have to lead. They have to set the course for the ship. And sometimes they have to steer it. I'm usually the group leader in group projects because a lot of people think I'm a good leader. I'm not bragging, but that's the truth. Chapter 5 is look the part. This chapter I think is probably my favorite because look the part. This chapter, it describes Mandela's love of clothes, and it describes the fact that we should always look the part. You know how actors, they have to wear special clothes for the special part that they're getting in maybe a movie or a show? Well, that's how Mandela was. When he was a student, he wanted to look disciplined, and he wanted to look like someone that would follow the rules. When he was a lawyer, he wore impressive suits to impress his clients and the judges. When he became the president of South Africa, he started wearing European-style suits. But when South Africa settled down, he wore colorful shirts instead. Chapter 6 is Have a Core Principle. That means that you should always have a principle in your mind. From this principle, you would know how to lead, how to live. It's from this principle that you would know what to do. Chapter 7 is See the Good in Others. A lot of people have trouble doing that because some people, they would have times in their life where certain people have upset them or angered them or annoyed them. And then it would be difficult for them to see the good in those people. But you should see the good in those people because just because they annoyed you or someone else, that doesn't mean they're completely evil. It means that maybe they had some trouble in their own lives and they just wanted to take it out on you. But you should always be respectful of that person, even if they didn't like you at first. Chapter 8 is Know Your Enemy. This chapter is a very important one because I'm sure that everyone has a certain person in their life whom they just don't like, whom they just can't stand. Maybe it's a bullying class or some annoying person at work, but there's always that one person in your life who annoys you, who you just want to say, back off, let me live my life. But you shouldn't be rude. You shouldn't just start yelling at them randomly like I said before. You should think and you should strategize about what you're going to do. Chapter 9 is Keep Your Rifles Close. That means to keep the people that you think aren't really that and don't really have that much control. So you should keep those people close. Keep an eye on them. Like, for example, maybe you're at school and you're about to do a group project, like I said before. And there's this one person in your group who doesn't really like following the rules, who doesn't like listening to what other people say. You should keep an eye on that person. Keep that person close. Watch what they're doing. Don't try to be bossy. Just treat them nicely, and eventually they'll grow closer to you. Chapter 10 is Know When to Say No. This chapter is also an important chapter because I'm sure that a lot of people have trouble saying a simple word, no. Because maybe someone asked you to do something that you do not want to do. And you're supposed to say no in that situation. But it might be hard for you because you're not used to saying something like that. But you should. You should know what's good for you and what's bad for you. You should know what's right and wrong, the difference between right and wrong. Chapter 11 is It's a Long Game. Chapter 12 is Love Makes the Difference. Chapter 13 is Quitting is Leading to. This chapter is especially important to me because when you're a leader, there are certain times when you enjoy your position, but there are other times when you feel lots of pressure. And I understand that. Sometimes, even if you like being a leader, there are times when you just want to lie down and rest. But that doesn't mean you're weak. Quitting is leading too. Chapter 14 is It's Always Both. A lot of people, when we're asked a question, we often say yes or we say no. But the answer isn't really yes or no. It could also be, what about both? What about yes and no? That's how Mandela used to think. Chapter 15, the final chapter, is Find Your Own Garden. This is one of my favorite chapters because it told a story about an important part in Nelson Mandela's life. He was in prison at the time and he got permission to grow his own garden. He was under a lot of stress at the time because he didn't know how his family and loved ones were being treated. He couldn't see his family. He couldn't see his friends. Well, except those in prison. So he finally got permission to grow a garden. He loved that garden. It was a big garden, and he grew vegetables and fruits and flowers in it. It was his happy place. His place to go to when he was under stress or pressure. The last chapter isn't really a chapter, it's just a few pages. It's called Mandela's Gift. Thank you very much for watching this review. Actually, right now, Nelson Mandela isn't alive. He's dead. But he left his legacy to all of us. And it's an amazing legacy, and I'm really happy that I got to read about his biography in this book. He led an interesting life. It wasn't always happy, it was sad at times, but it was interesting, and I got to learn a lot from him, and I'm happy about that. Rest in peace, Nelson Mandela. Bye.